All right. You're now tuned into the Real Rap Radio Show. I'm your host, Walil Archer on Downtown Radio. My special guest, I have Ashley Hibbler. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful.
From
And how are you today?
Memphis. I'm wonderful.
Oh
I'm,
yeah.
I'm super excited you from Memphis. I don't think I really interviewed anyone that I can remember from Memphis. Shouts out to Gorilla Glow,
Oh yeah.
one of my favorite female music artists. Before we start your interview, tell us, what do you like the most about Memphis?
Well, there's a lot of friendly people here. I can say that a lot of people that I've come in contact with, they're so caring and loving. So far that I've come across, and they volunteer a lot. Just like the volunteer state, they volunteer a lot. Anytime I need some people that I'm close to, they volunteer. They don't even ask. They just say, "You need anything?" I love that about here.
Yes,
It's
yes,
real
yes.
southern.
I got to put that on my bucket list to visit. Definitely got to put it on my bucket list to visit. So let's
Yeah.
jump right into your book. Let's talk about your book. Let the listeners know the name of your book.
Okay, the name of my book is Soul Family Six, The Chosen Series. And I named it The Chosen Series because it has four series in the book. I decided to put four different, because it was supposed to be four books. It's supposed to have been four books, but I ended up putting it all in one because they were so short.
Okay, and tell us the concept behind it.
So originally, when I wrote my first book, I wrote it about myself, but I didn't want to go too deep inside of my life. So I wanted to tell it more in a fictional way with Soul Family Six. So, I talk about like real things that people experience, even though it's really philosophical because I based it off of I how I perceive were I ain't gonna say perceived how we were created, but it's almost like that because they start off as some are created as angels and then some are born. And Soul Family Six was created, and they came together in a class from kindergarten, preschool, all the way up to high school, and they kind of went their separate ways a little bit up until they had this encounter with their own classmates when they had a disagreement about how the Wheel of Fortune is, because it's a Wheel of Fortune and the story where they have to spin if they hadn't had their fate decided by high school. So if one of the classmates, well, two of the classmates didn't want, they wanted free will. So they decided to start a war because they wanted things to go where everybody can choose their own fate, basically. And then it escalated into revenge throughout the story,
Okay.
throughout the different series.
Now, what do you want the readers to take away from reading this book?
Well, a lot of it has purpose in it, and a lot of people still probably out here trying to figure out what their purpose is or what their life path means. And it kind of talks about it a little bit in this book. And it makes you think, about how we really live our lives. So that's really what I wanted people to take from it, to start thinking more about what their life means. Because it's seven characters in the story, but each one has their own story. So, and the story has a lot of layers to it. So it's kind of hard to just pinpoint one thing because each story adds, like I said, more layers. You got different series, and once they have kids, then their kids have kids, and then it just goes from there.
And what would you say you learned after writing this book?
Well, I just learned that. Well, actually, I learned something before I wrote the book. I learned that I do have a purpose, and part of it is writing and being able to express myself in that. And I just kept going because really after I wrote my first book, I thought I was gonna be done. I didn't even really consider writing as something I wanted to do until I started doing it. And so I really learned more about myself and what I really like to do. And as I kept going, I started creating, and I even created a YouTube channel to
Mm,
make videos from the book. So Not only can you read the book, but you can actually watch the stories play out on my YouTube channel.
That's nice. And let's drop the YouTube in there. Where can they find your YouTube channel at?
So the name of the channel is Book with the number two with videos behind it.
Okay,
So it's
awesome.
called Book to Videos.
Awesome. How many chapters would you say is in your book?
Um, I think it's about 80 chapters in the book, but they're short. So it's probably about 200 and some pages in that book. So it's really it's probably longer now because I made them for a series in one book, but it's really not that long. But I have, like I said, made it into videos. So the plan is in July to make a full video called the
Hmm,
Epic Series, and it's coming out on the 31st, and it's probably going to be about 3 hours long.
nice, nice. Now, what would you say is the most memorable chapter from writing this book?
Well, I don't know because it's like I said, it's in series, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint the chapters. But I feel like the beginning is where it starts, when they were created and how they perceived life to be. They were still trying to figure out what it is that they were supposed to be doing and how they was going to spend the rest of their life doing it. And so I think that was like the beginning was the most important part before they even became human.
And how many characters do you have in your book?
Whew. Well, the main characters is seven. It's
Okay.
seven characters, but it's extra characters that come in toward different series. So it's kind of hard to say. I don't know why I always have all these characters, but it's probably 30 characters in all.
Okay. And would you like to share anything about the seven main characters?
So um, Ariel is the one who's telling the story, and Ariel is the one that's most like me. And so a lot of the story is are from people that I know, but and their characters are like them, and those are some of their real names. And that's the reason they were the inspiration for the character. But Ariel was the curious one. She's the one telling the story about how she wants to get her wings and how she wanted to get bigger wings and be promoted and be, like, how when you get a job, you want to be promoted. So basically, that's how she was the entire time. And she worked hard toward doing that. And then you got Jermaine, who ends up becoming Lord Jermaine, and I think Ariel becomes Lady Ashley when they become humans. They get married, but they become really close friends at the very begin, from the beginning to the end. Basically, they always were together. They always took up for each other, like family. And so they ended up as husband and wife in human form and had kids. And then you got Kayla, who was Angela in angel form, and then you got Gabriel, which are some of these characters really are or were archangels, and that's one of the reasons why I named them the way that I did. But a lot of these characters, like I said, are named after people I know, and they have the characteristics of the characters in the story, which is very loving. And so Kayla and Angela, not Kayla, Angela and Gabriel, both are very quiet souls. And I don't know if you know anything about tarot, but in tarot, the hermits is very quiet, but they're very wise, and so that's why I named them Kayla and Gary Hermit when they became human because they were quiet, so they were very quiet and they meditated a lot, and so a lot of like the Land of Terror, the second series is named after tarot. So a lot of the stuff that's in the book is after things that I love. I love tarot, spirituality, law. All of those things are included in the story.
And when writing this story, did you experience writer's block at all? And if so, how did you overcome it?
I didn't because I'm still writing, and I'm still writing. I'm on book two for Soul Family Six, as a matter of fact, because I left a cliffhanger. Because it was so much to write. I was like, no, I'm gonna put this in another book because it was just so much and it has so many layers, and even that book has three series in it. and I got spin off from that. So I just got a lot to write. I haven't gotten writer's block yet, but I have so much in my head that I need to put on paper.
Now, if you were talking to an inspiring author, what advice would you give to an inspiring author?
Just keep writing, because sometimes when you first start, you don't really know a whole lot about it. Because I know going into it, I didn't even know how to get started. And sometimes you go through these moments where you feel like, um, well, I know I did. I can say this based off of my own experience because I went through a company and they wasn't really that supportive of what I was doing. So it made it seem like in the process of me doing it that I wasn't as important as some of their other clients. But it wasn't that. It was just a lot of other things going on in the background. But I would just encourage people not to, get discouraged if things don't always work out as they go through, that process because sometimes it can feel discouraging when you feel like you're not getting what you need, especially when you don't have all the information. I know for me, I didn't know any of the things that I really needed to do. And it was like a learning process as I go through it. Even now, it's still things that I'm learning about it because I'm basically a new author, three maybe 4 years into it. So I'm still learning, but I would always encourage people to write. If it's something you want to say it
Okay.
and
If
keep
any,
going.
if anyone has just joined us, say the name of your book again,
Soul Family 6, The Chosen series.
and let everyone know where they can purchase your book at.
Now they can order it from Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, or any bookstore online, because it's only really available online. It's not in stores. So any bookstore and on my website as well. It's www.authorashbooks.square.site.
One more time.
www.authorashbooks.square.site.
Awesome. And as we begin to close out, any final thoughts or closing remarks?
Um, I just really hope that what people receive from this book is something that will make them think and start to maybe look. When I say look, I mean look into like things that they're already doing and maybe make some changes if they feel like they need to after reading this book. Because that was really what I was hoping people would do after they read Soul Family Six. Know, coming together with people. Like I said, some of these people weren't really family, but it's like family because they were from the same soul family. They came together with the same cause. And so, I would like for people to come together more based off of this book, be more supportive because I know a lot of people just kind of like out there right now. So I
Awesome.
hope that it can do that.
Awesome. Well, Ashley, I'd like to thank you for doing the interview today.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So that's my time today on the Real Rap Radio Show. And I'll see you guys next time on the Real Rap Radio Show with your host, Walil Archer on Downtown Hot Radio. Peace and blessings, everyone.
All right.